Good evening, everyone, on this Christmas Sunday. I hope that you've been having a wonderful Christmas weekend. Welcome to This Week at Little Hills. I'm so glad to be with you tonight. Tonight, we're going to turn to Romans chapter 5. We're going through a 12 days of Christmas devotional journey, and this passage refers to what happens in today's booklet. So if you haven't already, I do hope that you'll join me over there for that as well. But what we find in Romans 5 are these words from the Apostle Paul. He says in verse 6, "For while we were still weak, at the right time Christ died for the ungodly. For one will scarcely die for a righteous person, though perhaps for a good person one would dare even to die. But God shows his love for us, in that while we were still sinners, Christ died for us." Think about the wonder of that. When we celebrate Christmas, we're celebrating God coming into the world in order that he would actually come to die for us. Today's devotional reading, when you go over into that booklet, is going to be about the fall. We're looking at Genesis chapter 3. And I'd leave us with a question today. What would we do for someone who is unrighteous? What would we do for someone who is undeserving? Because no matter how much we might try to be pleasing to God, we fail time and again. And as Paul says here, Jesus came into this world. He died for us while we were unrighteous. The only reason that we can ever claim righteousness is because Jesus has died and given his righteousness to us. And the only reason we have hope is that when Jesus died, he didn't stay dead, but he was resurrected. And when we think about that, that's the good news of Easter. But it's also the good news of Christmas, because the plan was already set. Jesus wasn't born in that manger and then sort of just went to see how things would happen, and it so happened that he ended up on a cross. When Jesus was born in that manger, and Mary and Joseph were there with him, when the wise men came, every part of the biblical story, it was all leading to Jesus dying for us when we were unrighteous. What would we do? What will we do for someone who doesn't deserve it? I think when we ask ourselves that question, it challenges us, because as we think about where we will draw the lines, we realize that we set a much higher standard for others than God sets for us. As we reflect on that, can we take that joy that we have, that freedom we have because Christ has died for us and saved us, and share that with others, even today? Well, I do hope that you'll join me tomorrow as we continue to meditate on God's Word at Steadfast. We're going to wrap up our series, The Weary World Rejoices, looking at the joy that Simeon and Anna had when they saw the Messiah, the one who would save them. And they actually speak to what we're talking about tonight, that the plan was already in motion, and they had at least a little bit of an understanding of it that God had given them, that this baby hadn't come into the world simply so we could rejoice in a baby being born, but that he would take on our sin and rescue us. I hope that you'll be there for that tomorrow night, and I also hope that you, if you haven't already, that you will download that devotional booklet for the 12 days of Christmas, and over the coming days as we wind down the Christmas season, that we wouldn't wind down reflecting on the wonder of God and his love for us. I really think this time before Epiphany, this time over the next few days, can be a real blessing to you as we prepare for a new year. And so please do join me for that. I hope you have a wonderful and blessed week. And of course, if there's any way I can be praying for you this week, feel free to shoot me an email on the email address on screen, or leave a comment below and we can all pray for each other together. Have a very Merry Christmas, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow night.